Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday. I hope you all had a wonderful and refreshing weekend and had lots of fun time and painted. I did not, but I still had fun. So welcome to Art School Live with Eric Rhodes, except that Eric Rhodes is not here. He is taking a little vacation this week after our art business event last week. So I get to host you again this week, and I'm super excited. I have a wonderful lineup for you today and for this week. And today we are going to have artist Laura Pollak. I love Laura, met her, I don't even know how long ago. It feels like forever ago that I've known her. But I love all of her artwork. Her abstracts are awesome. Her landscapes are really great. The light that she has in those, I'm hoping she'll share with us one that she did recently because it's really pretty. But yeah, so without further ado, let's bring in Laura. Hi, Laura. How are you?
Hello, everybody. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for contacting me, Carrie. I'm thrilled.
Yes, thank you so much for agreeing to come on the show. I'm super excited. What are you going to
Absolutely.
share with us today?
Well, I'm going to be talking about finding your artistic freedom. So many of us are tied as slaves to either what we see out plein air painting or the photograph that we've taken of it.
Oh, 100.
And I
That's
want us to all exert our artistic power because we can move mountains, we can move trees, we can change a path. And to be honest with you, when I first started, I have a most wonderful mentor. I don't know if I can name her, but
yeah.
um, 𝗙𝗵𝗲𝗲𝗀. She's always been so wonderful to me. Anyway, when we first went out plein air painting, I asked her point blank, am I supposed to paint what I see and try to replicate that? Or am I supposed to paint a painting? And she said, yes. So the fact of the matter is that we need to make paintings. I admire very, very much highly realistic painters. I don't think I can do that. So I take my artistic license very seriously and I change things. So without further ado, I guess I'll change my camera and we'll start talking about a wonderful landscape that is lyrical, but it has some technical design problems. And I'm all about changing it to making it a fun and great and dynamic painting.
That's awesome. Well, while you get ready, we're going to start this show with our video, and maybe this time I'll actually remember to introduce myself. Let's roll that video.
It's Art School Live with Eric Rhodes. Now, here's your host, Eric Rhodes.
Except it's 𝗙𝗵𝗱𝗀. Welcome to Art School Live. Happy Monday, everyone. For those of you who do not know me, I am 𝗙𝗵𝗱𝗀, marketing project manager, plein air salon art competition manager, and also the community ambassador for Pastel Today because I love everything pastel. So Kelly is our amazing editor who writes all these wonderful articles for the newsletter. And then I contribute little tidbits here and there of things going on in the community that I think pastel artists should know about. So be sure to check that out. You can sign it up at pasteltoday.com/ASL. It comes out every Friday. It's got a lot of great info. So be sure to check that out. And again, Eric is on vacation this week after hosting our event last week, Art Marketing Business Day. And so I get to host you all this week. And I'm very excited for the lineup we've got this week and very excited for our special guest today, Laura Pollak, who is going to show us how to use your artistic license. So Laura, take it away.
Absolutely. So this is a scene in North Carolina, which is where I spend the summer months, and it's lush and it's beautiful. And when you go out plein air painting, it can be totally overwhelming. So there are decisions to be made. And the first thing that I start with is whether, and I'm going to just put this off to the side so we can keep an eye on it. Over here, when I get up to painting it, what format will speak to me and the viewer? I ask myself questions like, where was I? Who was I with? What was the temperature? What was the time of year? How do I get that feeling? What drew me to this piece in particular? And I know that this is going to be my area of interest. Just love the azaleas.
Mhm.
So do I want a square? Do I want a horizontal? Circle? I don't even know how to put tick marks on that one. Or do I want a vertical? I know I was trying to do that the other day. That didn't work really well. So the next thing that I like to do, once I figure that out, and in this case, it's going to be, I'm going to go pretty true to this because I love that. I'm going to put up something that we've heard about, and it's called a notan. So I did this so that I could get a little head start on what's going on here today. And I use these markers. So that's the same format as this. I put tick marks. Why? Because I like to get the golden mean, a place that's part of the thirds. And a lot of times I'll even put a circle right there, like a business plan. So I remember what I'm supposed to be doing, where I'm supposed to be going. And in this little photograph, there are things that I don't like. So I want to change them. And because I'm an artist, I have that power. So there's a big tree right here, and there's a lot happening here, and I want to quiet that down. There's a strong angle here, and I'm going to soften that. This is going to be my focal point, but I'm going to bring it down a little closer to here. So it's going to be where these two tick marks hit, right around there. There's a strong tree, and I like that there. I might move it a little bit, but everything that I do now, angle-wise, I'm going to start bringing in to my focal point. So the other thing that I did, so here's the original photo, is I took that photo, and with one of my little apps, I wanted to show you where the angles really are. So if you look here, look how strong these angles are, and they're all taking me off the painting. Well, I want to
Right.
keep you on the painting. This is really a tangent close. This is a pretty good angle line. I'll be keeping that one. This is a tree, you see here. I sort of like that one, but I don't like the fact that they're all spaced equally.
Right.
Every painting has a rhythm. Think of it like music. If you were to just do this all day long, that would be a very boring rhythm. But if you did this, you'd have some rhythm. I
Right.
think of each painting like music. Everything that I'm going to do in this painting, whether blatantly or subtly, will point me, you, the viewers, I, right to my focal point. So let's
Okay.
move this out of the way.
Before you do that, I have a question.
Of
Can you
course.
explain what a tangent is?
A tangent is when something is so close to an edge, it creates a visual friction and a discomfort. And sometimes we use those on purpose. But if I were to put this tree in right here, by the
Mhm.
time I frame it, it would be under the frame and only bits of it would come out. And then that would lead to questions going, what is that and why is it there? So it
Gotcha.
would not serve my design at all. Now this looks like a total mess. And wait till you see what I've done on the sanded board that I've got up underneath it. But what I try to do is I try to group my darks together. I try to consolidate. I do a lot of squinting. So if I squint at this, I sort of see what's happening here. And with the markers, I try to leave the light that's coming through, shining through the trees. Okay, more questions? I'm always open.
I will
Let
ask
me
when we
know.
have some more.
Please do. All right. So this is a 9x12 piece of sanded dark paper. It's a 320 grit. It's something that I really enjoy.
Oh, I've never worked
Because,
with anything with that low of a grit.
yeah, and I don't know why I'm drawn to it, but I really am. So the last time I did this painting, which was right here, I did it on a piece of reclaimed pastel paper that I just brushed off and wet down, and it became something very neutral gray.
Mhm.
So this is going to be a little bit different. I might struggle with it. I might do okay with it. But, we're here to learn. So let's start in. I almost always start with my darks, and I'm actually going to put in some of these tree trunks. So what I did on this is I took a dark brown. It looks lighter here because I needed you guys to be able to see it. Without
Sure.
seeing it, you know, I would sometimes put in, believe it or not, even a grease pencil mark, but you can't even see what I just did. So
Yeah.
I had to go a little bit lighter. I might have to struggle with it a bit, but let's see. So what I'm going to start with now is I'm just going to start putting in some very dark marks. This is a very, very dark pastel. And for the tree trunk,
Are you starting with hard pastels for kind
believe
of
it
the
or not, this was sort of a hard pastel, but this is a soft pastel.
Okay.
And yeah, and what's interesting is I was in watercolor for a long time before. My teacher saw me struggling because I was also a graphic designer. And if I didn't like something, I would hit Command Z and it was gone. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I couldn't do that with my watercolors. They just were there once I put them down. And what's interesting is she said to me, because I was getting worse. I mean, nobody gets worse. I was just getting worse. And she says, why don't you try pastels? They're a lot more forgiving. And oh my God, they're just delicious. They're delightful. So yeah, I really love them. And if you make a mistake, and I invariably will today, I will show you the tricks on how to get rid of those. So I'm looking on my photograph of all the areas of darks, and I'm just going to put those in. First, I'm going to put in the under ledge of this little wall here. And I try to be mindful of where the dark values are. If they're really super dark, I'll press harder. If they're not, like some of these bushes, if you squint, these are about the same value. Here, they'll be lighter. Here, I'll probably just do this. So I hope everyone gets their squinting eyes on. What's fascinating, someone told me, you know, when you get older, you start getting worried about crow's feet. So if you want to squint and not get crow's feet, you tilt your head back and let your lids sort of slide down. And I'm thinking, well, it's too late for that, but okay. I thought that was pretty funny. Okay, so here we go. And see, this is almost cut off right at the end there. And I don't, that's sort of like a tangent. So I'm making it a little bit bigger so that we have something there, but it's still in the dark values. I'm just putting a little bit in there. Here are my bushes, my lovely azaleas that, again, North Carolina has just beautiful, beautiful time in spring. And I'm looking for the shapes of those shadows. And if I don't like what's here, I make it to what I want to do it. Again, I'm exerting my artistic power and flexing my art muscles here. And this one is almost all in shade except for a little bit at the top here. Okay. Now, what we've got are a lot of leaves. So I'm not going to paint every leaf. I'm going to paint blocks. I'm going to paint shapes. So here's a lovely, almost S curve type of thing. And I'll probably do some of that. All right. And I might not really need to do very much of anything because my paper's already dark and I'm going to go over it with my greens. But I am trying to find the really dark spots and give myself a bit of a roadmap. Now, as I go through all this, look where the shapes, they're all going to be pointing right about here. So this is coming down. I'm going to have a dark shape right here. That's pointing in, and it keeps me from going straight off the page. I'm
Right.
thinking about all these things as I go through it. And since this is going to be my focal point, my lightest lights and darkest darks, I'm going to try to centralize here. Okay. Let's see. Rhythm. This tree, they're the same distance from the side. I have to be very careful of that. To create a little better rhythm, I'm going to add a smaller tree just to break that all up. Okay. and maybe put a little branch here. It might get lost by the time it's all done, but I'm thinking about it. I need to be thinking about it. This shape right here is going to be pointing right down here. See how that all works?
Yeah.
So I get to choose where things are going. And I'm right in this area here. Okay. And I'll probably leave a lot of this alone for right now. There's a lot of busyness right here. I'm going to sort of soften that visually when it comes time to it. And probably just put a little more darkness here to bring me in. Do you see how that's all coming right here? This
Mhm.
is my focal point. And all I can tell you is when I first started taking classes, what I found that was very, very funny, I wasn't the only one saying this. Teacher would come up and say, well, you know, I did this thing of Merced River. Okay. Lovely, beautiful scene that had a big rock right in the middle of it. Teacher came up and says, I hate to tell you this, it looks like there's a big baked potato in there. I mean, it was just this big round brown thing. So anyway, what happened was everybody does this, everybody says this. So become aware of it.
Yeah.
That's the way it looked. That's in the picture. Well, we are artists. We get to change these things. Right now, I'm working with a very dark, dark green because in pastels, our darks are where we start. It's the opposite of watercolor, where you go light
Yes.
to dark. Here we go dark to light. So bit by bit, with a very light hand, I'm just glazing a little bit. Okay. And I'm trying to keep my focal point in mind. Let's see my time. I always want to make sure I've got enough time. So put a few dark spots in, but it's really nice to start on a dark paper. I'm going to put in the wall right now. So how am I going to do that? I'm going to go with a deep blue because it's in shadow. And because it's rocks, I'm just going to make little marks up and down, sideways. There's a wonderful saying, those indicate, don't illustrate.
Yes.
If three
I have
marks
a
will
very
do it,
difficult time with that.
say again,
I have a very difficult time with that. My brain
we
is very
all do.
mechanical.
We want to do every brick, every leaf. It's just a little too much sometimes. And I was lucky enough to see the incredible painting by John Singer Sargent called Lady Agnew. And that painting really solidified the concept for me. Because if you get close up to that painting, there are so few strokes. And he indicated so beautifully that satin dress in this portrait. It's just stunning. So that was really wonderful. And again, if you can do it in just a few strokes, why do you need 50?
Right.
So bit by bit, we're going to be blocking this in. Actually, I'm going to use that same blue right over here. Now, this is a sidewalk. And because it is, I'm going to try to go a horizontal mark so that it lays down. If I were to do lines like this, that would sort of take you off.
Right.
Okay. Is the contrast good enough? Can you see all that's going on here?
Yeah, I can.
Awesome. Awesome. So bit by bit now, I'm going to, let's see, I might touch a little bit of the sky. In the original photo here, one thing I realized is a very strong line here, and it takes you off. So I'm going to do a little cut in. I'm going to change it. Artistic license firing away. Let's see what I can pull off. I'm going to do a very light bluish gray. This seems like it might actually be too gray, but we'll try it. Again, I'm using a very light touch. And I'm going to make the shape so it's pointing right there.
Yeah.
Subtle, but yeah, it's there. I'm going to do what I love to call broken color. Same value, different color. Okay. And I'll go a little bit in the pinks and the warms right now, because they'll play together beautifully. I wipe each pastel off before I make a mark. You can see how dirty it is.
Yeah.
That if I don't, it will contaminate the colors there. That's actually too dark. So I'm going to make a lighter. Now, this might be too grayish. We'll see. It's okay. Let me see if I can do something even better. This might be prettier. So yeah, I just keep paper towel in my hand, and that way I can wipe off. See, if you squint, they're all about the same value.
Yeah.
And they play really nicely together. So I've established now my lightest light, my darkest dark. Let's get into some more greenery. I'm going to bring it up. And when I say bring it up, I'm going to bring up the value. So this was my first value. This is going to be ever so slightly lighter. Let's see if it shows. Yeah, it does.
So that's almost the same value as the paper, right?
Exactly, yes. Which is a joy to use this paper, because then I don't have to worry about all that stuff showing through and having to tint it. However, it is fun to do all different kinds of underpaintings. I did one just the other day where I did a red underpainting, and I let some of it show through, and that was great fun. That just is beautiful. So this is the darkest value in this set, but it's still, you're going to be able to see that it's much lighter. Okay. You can see that.
Yeah.
And to push this tree back, I'm going to go in front of it. All right. Let's play a little more with this color in other places. Like maybe down here would be a good place for it. Because this is just catching a little bit of that light. And again, I'm keeping my marks very light touch here.
Yeah, I think that's my big problem too, is I'm very heavy-handed. I got to work on that.
So here's a story. This is one of my favorites. I'm in a workshop with a lovely lady, and she just got a new set of pastels that are very, very, very soft. And what happened was the teacher comes around to her and says, you know, you're just going to have to lighten your touch. And she got so frustrated. She packed it up, the brand new set, brought it over to me and gave it to me. I said, what are you doing? She says, I'm giving this to you. I said, you can't do that. This is worth a lot of money. She says, it's yours. I said, I'll buy it from you. She says, nope, I'm giving it to you. So
all because she couldn't figure out a light hand.
She couldn't figure out how to do a light hand. Now look how this is a much bluer green than this one. And they again played beautifully together. A very light touch. The other thing that happens is a lot of people have a great deal of angst about so much green. What am I going to do with all that?
Yeah.
Well, you can vary it. This is a more olive, so it has a little more orange brown in it, and you can see how beautifully,
Ooh,
again, they
really
play together
Yeah.
very, very nicely. Oh, let's do a little more. And we just sort of block things in bit by bit. I'm looking at my watch, seeing how much time I've got.
Oh, you're good. You've got about 20, 25 minutes.
Oh, yeah, I can just finish this, sure. Yeah. All right. I'm going to now bring the value up even higher here. Let's see how this works. I make a little mark right there to see, is that about the right value? It is. When I was teaching the other day, if I make a mark on a piece of light paper like that, I have no idea how it interacts with the real
Right.
colors that it's going next to. So I have to just make a little mark like that and go, oh, okay, that's the right color. That'll do it. And yeah, that works really quite nicely. And I am still thinking about my focal point. I haven't put it in yet. And now to really push it even more, I'm going to actually go to a yellow ochre, a brownish, and play a little bit and see if that works. Right? Same value. The other thing that's very interesting, as leaves get closer to the sky, and you'll see this in a minute, I'm going to put some more sky color in. They become lighter in value as the light envelops them and wraps around them. With trees, it's important to paint from the inside out. In other words, from where the sun isn't shining, they get no light, and then you layer on top of that. Okay, so
Mhm.
let's see what we can do and get a little more sky in. I'm going to use a very loved blue, dirty, so I have to clean it off. Very light blue, and put some more in here. That works well. It's so tiny, I have to be careful not to drop it. Okay, so I have a sky hole. Sky holes are where the light is coming through the leaves. Right about here. Again, I'm going to try to shape it so it points down that way a little bit. And note too that I'm turning my hand to fit the need of where we're going here.
Mhm.
Okay. Because if I do this, I won't be able to get the shape that I really want. And here's a fun one. So there's a branch there. All you have to do is paint on either side of it. And now you have a little negative painting, a little bit of a shape, and it's really nice. Okay. Bring a little bit, I'm lightening my hand even more, as you can see,
Yeah.
barely touching. Okay. Do a little more here. And I love to go all the way around a painting. There are some artists that start like on the left eye and then work their way out. If I did that, again, I'm just not good enough. If I did that, the right eye would be somewhere in the middle of their forehead. It would not be cute. It would not work out all that well. So now I'm losing that shape, but I'm still bringing it down here. Okay. And I'm squinting, still squinting. Let's put in a little bit of the red here. So we're going to start to get a feel. I'm going to start with a very dark red, or the red that's in the shadows, especially right here. It's almost in the magenta purple. And this is where it's going to start to get exciting. Okay. I'm going to switch back and forth between that magenta and a purple because the values are about the same. And again, they will play beautifully together. I'll
Yeah,
do
I
the
like
same thing over here with the shadow area. And then I will go into another very dark red, almost burgundy. And as I get closer and closer to my focal area, I will turn on the lights, so to speak. One of my favorite things to do. This is still that magenta that I started out with, and I'll bring that over here. Okay, here's something really fun to do with greens. I learned this by accident. So this is a deep magenta, almost the same value as that green. Watch what
Mhm.
happens. Just adds a little bit of depth and warmth to it.
Yeah.
And I just love that. And it looks like it goes. Okay, so bit by bit, I am bringing up the light here. I'm now moving a little bit over to, this is very cool, this is warmer. And watch what's going to start to happen a little bit at a time. And now I'm going to go brighter. This is a pure red. Okay, let's see, where does it catch the light? Right about there.
I'm getting like so excited just watching. Such a nerd.
I mean, I get really excited about this too. So
Like I'm just like anxious. I'm like, it's coming, it's coming.
yeah, we had to wait to put the frosting on. We have to bake the cake first.
Oh, I
Okay.
love it.
So when red gets lighter, it doesn't go to pink. I mean, it does, but we don't want to go
Yeah.
there. We want to go to orange.
Orange. I've just learned that
Yeah.
recently. I've started using more orange in my apples instead of pink.
Yeah. So now the lights are coming on. And, you know, bit by bit, I'll have to tweak all the shapes. But
Yeah.
let's get some light on that wall. Let's see what we can do. So for starters, I'm going to go to a deep blue purple for the shadow areas. Let's see if we can get that going. Gotta move my little clips. Are there questions at all from the
I
audience?
just asked anybody if they've got any questions for you. You're doing a very excellent job explaining everything that you're doing.
Oh, good. Okay. Little bits of shadows, little bits of light. Okay, I'm going to put a little bit of blue over that to make it sing some. Let's see. Again, these two colors, they just play really well together.
Oh my gosh, I feel like I'm here. I feel like I'm actually there looking at this. This is so cool.
Now, with the highlights that I'm going to put in here, I'm going to bring them up a little slowly. I'm going to be a little careful. This is a lovely brown. Let's see if it's going to be the right value. It's okay. I'll start with that. And so this is the light that comes through.
Gotcha. Okay. And somebody asked for that when you were doing that orange for that little pop of light, if you wanted to go even lighter, would you go to yellow?
Yes. Good question. Wow. Yes. Someone's paying attention. Okay, so I'm bringing it up in stages. Now that was sort of a brown. I'm going up in value. This is, it's almost a flesh tone. Let's put in a few bits of light.
And our friend Ann Stretch says hi. And she wants to know, did you choose orange over pink for the highlight because it's a closer complement to green?
You're so smart. Yes, and because it's brighter and I want to go really pop. I'm not shy with my colors. So yeah. Again, I'm squinting. I want to see where it really goes with these colors. And now I'll go a little bit brighter. Let's see. I'm just being timid here now. I got really quiet, sorry. I had to concentrate. And I'm trying to see whether that works. It's getting there. I'm going to go back with some more darks now. Let's see how we can really make all this pop. Right around there.
Is that the same color you were using to lay in the shadows? Okay.
Absolutely, yeah. Now this shape here does not work. It needs to be flat right there. And let's put in some shadows on these azaleas. And when you put really darks next to that really light, it just works. Now, this here goes too far, so this needs to be brought back in. Okay, under here. How am I doing on time? Oh, I'm good. Okay. Making progress.
I feel like time
Yeah.
has slowed down for this.
Oh, God, I hope so. I need all of it. And what's nice is you can glaze over some of these green bushes and go back and forth. I liken it to making a king-size bed. You can't do it all in one go, okay?
Right.
It just doesn't work. You have to go back and forth from side to side. Okay. Oh, it's turning into something. I'm always surprised, I have to tell you. It's like when you step back and you go, oh, it worked. What do you know? And let's put a little more blue in here for fun. A little brighter. Little reflective light. That might be too chromatic, but it's fun for now. Let's see. Let's put a little of that deep purple back in the background. Let's see if this is too chromatic. By that I mean, is it too colorful? Is it too pure of a color? That's pretty
Mhm.
pure. Yeah, that might be too much. I might have to glaze over that. But it works really beautifully with that purple. Let's play a little more with that then.
Laura, do you
It's
ever
sort of
use
fun.
fixatives?
I do. I'm one of the very few that really does. And the reason is I have shipped to a few shows and I didn't recognize the painting
Oh,
once it
no.
got there. It dusted so badly that I couldn't find my own painting in the PSA show in New York. I was
Oh,
in
wow.
tears. I mean literally in tears. So I thought, okay, what can I do differently? And finally I figured out how to fix. In fact, I have a little video of that. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that on YouTube, but and it works. So after the second time that happened, I said, nope, not doing that again. So yeah, I use fixative. Again, like I said, one of the very few.
Is that video
Um,
on your website?
I think it is. I think it is. I'm moving my clips. And I'm looking at some of these sky holes here. So when you do sky holes, you actually have to go a couple values darker than you normally would. Because if you did it, I'll just show you a boo-boo. If you go really bright, it will stick out too much.
Yeah.
So
Okay. So maybe that's why I struggle so much with those.
yeah, it's a lesson to learn. And you go back and forth with it. So let's see. So now this is bringing it in. This is bringing it down. This is pulling you into that focal area. I have to
Mhm.
step back for a second and see if it's working. It's getting there. It needs a little more softness. I'm going to warm this up a little bit with a sort of orangey, what was it, creamsicles that they used to have. They were so good. Yeah, that's a little too much. So I told you earlier, I would show you what happens when you make a boo-boo. This is
Yeah.
that time. Okay. You just take an old cheap nylon brush, you go straight at it, and you just do this. And it will take off pastel without really mushing it up too much. That highly technical term. And then I can go back over it with a little bit of that blue. And voila, it's almost all gone. Now,
Nice.
let's do this. Yeah. There's lots of great techniques and tools out there. Okay. I need to get some more established lights in the greens. Let's go to something very lime green. See how that works for me. I'll do that right here. Again, sort of pointing at my focal area, but I don't want to get too close to the edge. I want this to be sort of nondescript. And I'll have a little bit of that here.
Yeah.
Okay. I'd like to define these a bit better with some of that dark green. And what's interesting too, I learned this a while back, is that when you have those beautiful waxy leaves of a tree or of a bush, they often pick up the sky color. So you can take a color like this, which is a very aqua color,
Mm-hmm.
deep aqua, and let's test it. It's too dark, so I want to take it up one notch. Value-wise, I'll test it again. See if that works. That's a little better, but I'm going to take it up even more in a second because it'll be reflecting what's going on in the sky, which I find fascinating, that actually gives it that three-dimensional depth. Now I'm starting to do a little bit more with the mark making, but not yet, not too much yet. Let's do some more filling in here of those greens. I'm going to go into some olives, and then I'll probably go into some of those ochres again. And I'll just go over the tree trunk to soften it, to make it less obtrusive and dominant in here. Again, I'm turning my hand, my wrist, so I can get a variety of marks on here. And now it's time to bring it up light-wise, because the light that's coming through will be starting to catch here some of those top leaves. Even lighter. Let's keep going. Now I'm starting to get a little bit of the character of those leaves. I one time heard someone say, you really should pretend like you're touching the object. Feel what it would feel, you know? Besides the fact that you're going to get prickles and thorns, you know,
Yeah.
it would be nice to see that. Now let's do a little variation in this color because it's a little too much. So this is a little more gold. Now I have already forgotten about this. I'm
Yeah.
no longer interested. Now I'm trying to make this a painting. Okay.
That's interesting because I think for me, I would have still been trying to like match color and, you know, try to do all of that stuff. So I like that you're kind of leaving that behind now that you've got the framework in.
Yeah, we really need to. We really need to. Now this has taken on its own life. It needs to be its own entity and piece. It just, now it's a painting, or it's trying to be at least.
Mhm. We've got about
Okay.
10 more minutes.
Oh, I'll be good. Thank you. So I'm trying to define this a little bit more. I'm just squiggling in there. Standing back, which is critical, by the way. Everybody really needs to get a fresh view on it. A lot of artists will take a mirror and stand back and look. One of the things I like to do is to take a photograph of it. And when you know, I get really excited and I want to post it and I'm all ready. And by the way, I'm just going to push up and I can make some wonderful branch shapes and so on, just by pushing up. So when I see the thumbnail, then I can tell what's wrong very quickly. One of my big mistakes is I get so excited, I want to put it in a frame. Oh my God, don't do that. Give it a day, let it breathe. I I can't tell you how many times I've done that. And I thought, what was I thinking? So yeah, not my best ideas. I'm going to keep bringing up the lightness in the trees. I'm going with a fairly, let me get some clean paper towel here so you can see. Going with a fairly olivey green. And again, when leaves get close to the sky, they get light almost the same value as the sky color. Okay.
Ooh, I
I'm
like that.
barely touching, barely touching. Yeah. And I'm stepping back. I'm going to put a little bit of it here as if it's catching the light. And I'm softening a bunch of edges. Edges are a whole thing you can do a whole series on, because if your edges, like right here, I'll probably have to soften that, for instance. I don't want it to take me off.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to be very, very careful with what you do with your edges. Blazing as light as I can. I'm trying to keep concentrating on what's going on. See, now that's too strong of a line. Let's go back and have some variation in it. Okay. This is sticking out a little too purpley, so let's do some stuff here. Just that little glaze helps it. Okay. Purple and green. Oh my gosh, what a combination. They are so happy when you put them together, and they make me happy. All right. I think this angle here needs to come up. I have to be very careful, because even in this kind of light, there is perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And I forget about that. Okay. I'm just pushing it back, tamping it down a little.
Carl is asking, when you're showing your work, how far away do you like your viewers to be from the artwork to see your vision of the piece?
Excellent question. So the concept that I start with often is I want to have my artwork be viewed from far away, and then I want them to be drawn in closer and closer and closer. And then I want them to explore and see everything that's in there. And then finally, I want to put a surprise somewhere, like a Where's Waldo type of thing, so that they're going, oh my gosh, I didn't see that from 20 feet away, you know? So that question is excellent. I used to be in advertising, and we only had seconds to capture someone's view of a page. Seconds. And we needed to learn how to keep their attention, which is why, for instance, I want to be really careful that nothing takes you off. I want to bring you back around and around and keep you on this page, this piece of artwork. Because if I let you go away, you're going to go see something else. I want you, I want to grab your attention.
Tracy says that, Laura, you are a master of drawing the viewer into your paintings.
Oh, wow. Thank you. That is so kind. I really appreciate that. You have to, you know, if you can plan your painting up front in advance, you could have a great deal of success. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm interrupting my own self, but look at this lovely ochre on top of this green and the blue. Wow, the stuff it does. And I surprise myself and I go, oh, I didn't know it would do that. So believe it or not, I do. There are days where I go into the studio and go, I don't want to paint. And then I just do these color studies. and I play and I do marks and I see what will this do. So those types of things are very, very helpful because not every day is a perfect day in the studio. Let's see, let's soften this down a little bit. Push it back. Okay, so when we push it back, we're just glazing over it, gives it a little bit of distance, all right? And what else can I do to make this work? I know. I'm going to get some gray purple that's very dark. And I'm going to do a little bit of this. Let's see if that works. Oh, that's happy. Look what that does.
Yeah, I like that.
Did I just take a screenshot or
No,
hurt
I
myself
took a
up?
screenshot of a message for Amandine so I could send it to her.
Oh, okay. I thought, oh my God, did I press something? Okay. Let me see what else I got going here. Stepping back, stepping back, stepping back. Too bad. A lot of times in classes, I say to the artists that are with me, okay, this is drawing by committee. Tell me what's wrong with it. And they always come up with something that I need to fix. Yeah. I think now it's sort of time to put in some mark making above and beyond. So here, this is the lesson for today. See, this comes down here. What's it pointing to? This
Yeah,
comes in. What's it pointing to? What's this pointing to? This is
right.
just not letting me off the page. This might be a little bit too bright and it's too close to the edge. So I'm just tapping it. I'm not smearing it. I'm just tapping at it.
Tapping it, yeah.
Okay. Let's see what else. Let's get a little more highlight on that. We'll go into
Got a couple more minutes.
Sure. Okay. Not too bad. I didn't think I'd even get this far, honestly. So now I'm trying to get some mark making. And I'm being very mindful. Where is my focal point? What am I doing with it?
Yeah, you're doing
And
a
let's,
fantastic job.
oh, good. Thank you. Thank you. You make me feel good. Okay, now I'm really putting in those extra pops. Let's see. It's a little much. Let's put that down a bit. And we'll go back to a darker orange. That might be just about all it needs. So your details also are at your focal point. You don't need them everywhere. I don't need it here. What I do need is some more sky holes. How much time do I have?
2 minutes.
Okay. So a sky hole like that works really well, just a little mark. And now that trunk lives again. Let's see. I'm going to tamp this down a hair. A little much. And some of that. Okay. No more questions?
You have done a fantastic job explaining everything. That's what I've come to
Oh,
find is the less questions we have, the better presentation.
okay. Well, good.
Well, while
Okay.
Laura's putting those final touches on there, be sure to check out her website. I know Karen dropped that in the chat. She mentioned her fixative video. Karen put that in the chat as well.
Oh, thank you. Good.
And you can also see Laura on faculty at the Planner Convention coming up in May.
Woo! I'm so excited.
Yeah, we're going to be in Tahoe. It's going to be beautiful. So be sure to check that out. Sign up so that you get to come paint with us in Tahoe. It's going to be so much fun. And then we also have Watercolor Live coming up next week already. That I can't even believe that. So be sure to check that out. That's going to be a super great time. We have such an amazing faculty lined up. We also are going to have one artist who's going to be in the studio in Austin that we're going to be checking in with. So that's going to be really fun. So be sure to check that out, watercolorlive.com. Don't forget the usual. Be sure to subscribe to our channel on YouTube. That way you get notified when we go live, because you don't want to miss out on any of these demos. These artists are awesome, and it's so amazing that they are willing to share their expertise with us. So I love that they're here. And yeah, be sure to check us out. Follow us on Instagram. Follow Laura on Instagram. She is a prolific Facebook poster, so you get to follow her and see all of her artwork. Thank you so much for taking the time to come in today and do this.
Thank you. I'm going to turn it around. Thank you for having me. Thank you for joining and hearing. And yeah, it's been a fun time. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
It was a great lesson today. I definitely needed to hear a lot of those notes that you shared.
Well, great. I see a few sky holes I have to take care of, but other than that, I made it pretty far, actually.
Yeah, you did. That was really impressive. I definitely could not have done that in 40 minutes.
Okay.
Well,
thanks
so
again. I appreciate it. Okay. And Happy New Year, everybody. See you all soon.
Happy New Year.
Okay.
And
thanks.
Thank you everyone for joining. Be sure to stay the rest of the week. Come check us out, because I'm going to be here the rest of this week, and I've got some wonderful artists that I'm excited to share with you. Tomorrow we have 𝗙𝗵𝗱𝗻, who's going to be painting with us in oils. So I will see you all tomorrow. Have a great day.